Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our reactions to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a race which may be massive for our championship picture. We will get into all of that and more in just a second. Before we do though, remember to like, remember to subscribe, and remember to hype! Oh, it's a one-man Mexican wave for the hype. Unbelievable. Give us a hype, whatever the hell that does. And a huge shout-out to our members, Dakota, The Joyous James, Rowan Myers, Cinnamon Strudel, Michael Johnson, Mr. Eurovision 986, Philip Doganzik, No Edom on Sandwiches, Sarah Jowett, and Andy Jones. If you want to become a member, click the link in the description down below. You will get, if you are a Mansell Mustache member, you'll get this Friday's video early, where I take a look at a list of the 100 greatest Formula 1 drivers of all time, but the list was written in 2007. Right! Let's get into this, because I've got so much I want to talk about. There's so many implications coming out the back of this, but as always, we shall start at the start. And at the start, Max Verstappen was on pole position. A shock Carlos Sainz. Alongside him, our World Championship leader, Oscar Piastri, started the race from 9th after a crash in qualifying. Lando Norris is in 2nd place in the championship. He was also not able to fully capitalise on this. He started the race in 7th place. Apart from that, the only real change to the grid was Esteban Ocon. He was disqualified after qualifying for failing a rear wing test. Realistically, didn't make too much of a difference. He qualified 18th, he started 20th. On the way to the grid, Isaac Hajar has a hydraulics issue, but they are able to fix it from there, and thank God they are, because he had a good result in the end. As for tyres, it's hard for Verstappen, Russell, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Bortoletto, Behrman, Hulkenberg, Gasly and Ocon. Everyone else on the mediums. And as we move away from the line, it's a good start from Max Verstappen, who keeps the lead. It is a awful start for Oscar Piastri. We don't even see the true implications of this start until later on. Not only did he jump the start, he then goes into anti-stall and falls all the way to the back of the grid before he even reaches turn 1. Then his no good, bad, awful weekend just gets worse, because lap 1, turn 6, lock up, Oscar Piastri, the World Championship leader, is in the wall and out of this race. Brings out the safety car. 34 races he has had in a row finishing in the points. The second most in Formula 1 history. It has come to an end. The man who has been said many, many times this year, he does not make mistakes. Everyone's pointed to that one moment in Australia at the start of the year, and that's his one mistake. He's made it this year. He got it out of his system. He's good to go. He made 3 mistakes in this weekend alone. The crash in qualifying, the jumping the start at the start of the race, ending up in the wall on lap 1. 3 huge mistakes here from Oscar Piastri, our World Championship leader, and this race made this race even more vital for Lando Norris. We saw not too long ago, the Dutch Grand Prix, Lando Norris' engine blew up, Oscar Piastri won the race, 25-point swing. Everyone's saying at the end of that race, well, that's it, that's championship over. This was Lando's opportunity to have his own moment of, I'm back in this. I'm going to be world champion. You've made a mistake. I've capitalised on it. Does he do that? Let's wait and see. Anyway, safety car is out. Ocon's in the pits, as is Albon. Ocon does something very interesting here, though, because he pits twice. So he starts on the hards, pits to the mediums, then on the next lap, pits the hards again, goes to the end of the race now on that one set of tyres. We see the replay of Piastri jumping the start. Alonso also jumped the start as well. It looked like Alonso was focused on Piastri rather than the lights itself, and he reacted to Piastri's reaction, which was far too early. Both of them end up getting 5-second time penalties. Alonso, of course, serves his in the race. Piastri obviously could not. Now, I thought this would result in a grid penalty for the next race, which is the Singapore Grand Prix, but I was looking online and there were some people saying because it was only a 5-second penalty, those don't get converted into grid penalties. So there's a chance that Oscar Piastri could get away with this. I mean, realistically, didn't benefit him at all to jump the start. If anything, it just went from bad to worse to worse to worse to worse. But realistically, I think that should be anywhere between a 1 and a 3 place grid penalty for the next race. But it does look like he may be lucky, and he may be getting away with that. Moving on, we also see actually there's a slight contact between Hülkenberg and Ocon coming out of turn 4 on lap 1. I think they both got away with that unscathed, so that was pretty good. Safety car ends on lap 5 of 51, the only safety car of the race. That's quite surprising, considering the amount of red flags we saw yesterday and the amount of safety cars we saw across F2. There was a video on the F2 races on the channel earlier on today, if you want to go check that one out. But yeah, as with all the safety cars we saw in the Formula 2, Max follows a similar pattern of just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and going incredibly late, because that's what you have to do here. You can't allow everyone to slipstream you down into the first corner. So Max goes late and gets a good getaway from there. The interesting part here from the start was Antonelli and George Russell. Antonelli down the inside of George Russell, forces him slightly wide. Russell not only gets passed by Antonelli, but falls down to 6th place from 4th. Russell not happy at all with that. Meanwhile, Lando Norris starts his charge to try and get back to the front of the grid, passing Isaac Hadjar for P8. Lewis Hamilton also challenging Hadjar at this point. On lap 8, he gets past him for P9. Yuki Tsunoda was ahead of George Russell at this point after he'd been pushed out by Antonelli, and Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull had this just tremendous straight line speed, which we saw from the Red Bull both here in Azerbaijan and last time out in Monza. But in the slow speed, in the majority of the lap, he was relatively slow. So Russell is just on him all the way through the lap. Then as soon as he gets that long straight, the moment where he could potentially pass him, there was just nothing. Russell just could not get past him. Took a very long time. Eventually on lap 10, Russell got past for P5. Behrman was told there's going to be rain in 20 minutes. Apparently, throughout the race, there was like light specks here and there, but nothing to really ever cause anyone any kind of issues from there. Alex Albon pits on lap 16 for the hard compound tyres. I thought this was a bit of an odd one, if I'm honest, because obviously he pit under the safety car. And I do wonder if maybe pitting twice under the safety car would have been better for Albon rather than having a pit, in just regular race time if you're going to pit twice that early. But there you go. Lap 16, George Russell is now back on the back of Kimi Antonelli, and he asks for team orders to swap them round. Mercedes do not give them team orders. They would just pit Antonelli in a little bit. I can see where Russell was coming from. He was definitely the faster of the two, but I could also see where Mercedes come from not wanting to upset Antonelli in a race where he's actually doing quite well. Meanwhile, Albon hits Colapinto on turn 5, lap 18. Both carry on. Doesn't seem like there was any major damage from that. Yet Colapinto had quite a slow hit into the wall, but he seemed to get away with it, so that was good from there. And Albon would get a 10-second time penalty for that collision, which he would not serve until he crossed the line. This is when Antonelli pits, which allows Russell to carry on in that free air. Whilst, it kind of benefited both. Get Antonelli off those tyres early, get him into a nice little gap. Russell able to go in the free air at the front of the pack. That was lap 19, Antonelli onto the hard tyres. Charles Leclerc pits now, lap 20 on the hard tyres as well. Lawson pits as well. Russell also choosing to continue lap 21 onto the hards. Lawson coming out ahead of Kimi Antonelli. Interesting tyre strategy here all around, because you have the likes of Ocon, who pits twice within the first few laps and uses those hards until the end of the race. You have the likes of, your Leclerc, Antonelli, Lawson here, who are all pitting relatively early. Then you have, your likes of like Max Verstappen, who was the last to pit. I think he pit with only 15 laps to go or something like that. Down the line, a lot of different strategies going here. The main issue is, realistically, those hard tyres could have done the entire race. I mean, Ocon basically did, and that's a thing we see a lot with the Pirelli tyres. We saw it last time out in Monza, for example. The McLaren lads, they went really long on those tyres because they could just last. There's no real question marks around them, which is a bit of a shame. There is a beautiful fight, though, now between Lawson and Antonelli. Battling here for what could have potentially have been a podium, when everyone had gone round with their pit stops and stuff. But yeah, I was just so happy for both of these lads at this point, because it was really good racing from both of them for a position that mattered. And both of them have had difficult years. Of course, Lawson starting with Red Bull, not going well. 2 races in, he's fired, dropped down. Then, we've spoken about it a lot on this channel, him getting his confidence back more and more and more and more and more and getting these good results along the way. And I think he's in a decent position now where his confidence is back, he's happy in the car, things are just going quite well for him. And Antonelli is not exactly similar, but, he came into F1 with so much hype as this, prodigal child who's the next Verstappen, the next Hamilton, and it hasn't gone that way. He hasn't been on the pace. He hasn't scored that many points. Before this race, he was being beaten by a Williams driver in the championship, But here, he was racing well, in a good position. These two, absolutely beautiful together, really good stuff. On lap 22, Antonelli gets passed for P9, which, could have ended up in a podium, but those two actually fighting together allowed Russell to pull away. It was quite fascinating, really, because we saw the graphics, the AWS graphics of where you're going to come out if you pit now. And when it was Lawson and Antonelli, if Lawson had pit, which he did, he would have come out about 7 tenths ahead of Antonelli, and that was about right. But after Lawson and Antonelli had fought, if Russell had pit, he would have come out like 1.7 seconds ahead of Antonelli. So that's how much that time cost them, but realistically, I don't think they were going to challenge the pace of Russell because he was really quite good today. And, I'm just happy for them. They're both in good positions. They're both racing really well. This is what we want to see. Moving on anyway. Carlos Sainz pits on lap 28 for the hard tyres, and that's from P2. He'd had a relatively anonymous race up until that point, in a good way. He hadn't had the pace of Verstappen, but he'd been much quicker than everyone else behind him. So he's just running his race, and he ran it really well. Liam Lawson now is being under attack from Charles Leclerc. This is on lap 30 here. Leclerc is fighting him for P8. Lawson doing a really good job defending that position, keeping that position. And realistically, this is Lawson's life now. From lap 30 to lap 51 is just defend against all manner of people. It'll either be Leclerc, or it'll be Yuki later on, or it'll be Norris, or it'll be maybe Hamilton will get in there as well. But yeah, get some great stuff from Leclerc. Speaking of Hamilton, he pits now, lap 37 on the mediums. Good stop from him, 2.2 seconds. Then, a lap later, Lando Norris comes in for his pit stop on the hard tyres, and again, it's a slow stop. Not as bad as the stop in Italy, but 4.1 seconds, and that means when he comes out, he is behind both Lawson and Leclerc. A good stop would have seen him ahead of both of them, and realistically, this is the end of his race from a competitive point of view. Now, of course, we're going to have to speak about the McLaren pit stops, because this is not just twice in a row, but this is 3 races in a row. We had the bad pit stop here, had the bad pit stop in Italy, which led to that team orders drama in the end of the race. But if you cast your mind back to the Dutch Grand Prix, both Norris and Piastri both had a series of really bad pit stops from McLaren in that race. But the thing was, at that time, I think it was under a safety car, and they had such a gap to Verstappen that realistically a slow stop didn't matter. But this is 3 races in a row now where McLaren are just giving out bad pit stops. This is the only pit stop they did today, because Piastri was out on lap 1, and it was a bad one. 4.1 seconds cost them a hell of a lot of points, cost them minimum 2 positions in this race. Norris down in 8th place at this point. There are rumours that McLaren did ask Ferrari and Racing Bulls to let Norris go through, because it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not his fault he had a bad pit stop. It's not fair. Papaya Racing. That's what we should do. Should have let him through. Apparently they said no. Moving on. Lap 39. That's a joke, by the way. I've got to say, what I just said then was a joke. I did it for a bit of a laugh. A bit of fun. Some people take it seriously. Oh, God. Lap 39, Yuki Tsunoda pits, 2.2 second pit stop for him, comes out ahead of Lawson, Leclerc and Lando, but Lawson behind on the warmer tyres. Yuki's just come out on cold tyres, he was sliding around a little bit into turn 4, Lawson dives down, warmer tyres, takes that P5 back. Beautiful stuff, Liam Lawson, fantastic. Meanwhile, further up the grid, Russell pits from P2 on lap 40 of 51, medium tyres for him, he comes out 1.2 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. So Carlos Sainz ultimately losing P2 through that pit stop period. But, still tremendous pace from Sainz to even be within just over a second of Russell. The Mercedes car was really good this weekend. Verstappen, the last to pits on lap 41 for the medium, so 10 laps to go in the race. Verstappen comes into the pits. Comfortable pit stop for him, puts him back out in the lead with quite some gap. Lando Norris passes Charles Leclerc for P7 on lap 41, then Hamilton passes him as well, P8, lap 43. I believe this was team orders from the Ferrari team, but Hamilton was the much faster of the two at this point. Looking at the end of the race, it does look like Hamilton was trying to give the position back to Leclerc, but either Leclerc didn't want to take it back, or Hamilton mistimed it, or something, but it looked like he was trying to get the position back, but finished ahead of Leclerc in the end. We have an almighty battle now for P5. It's Lawson versus Yuki versus Norris. Hamilton was closing in. Lap 46, Hamilton has the DRS on the back of Norris. Lawson has this DRS train. He's just at the head of it, defending for his life against Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull, Lando Norris in the McLaren, and Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari, once again doing fantastic stuff. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it's Max Verstappen saying fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap, doing tremendous stuff. As the flag comes down, it is Max Verstappen who wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. George Russell comes home in P2. Carlos Sainz completes the podium and gets driver of the day. Kimi Antonelli is in 4th. Liam Lawson, a fantastic P5. Yuki Tsunoda in 6th. 7th is Lando Norris. 8th is Lewis Hamilton. 9th, Charles Leclerc. 10th is Isaac Hadjar. 11th, just missing out on the points, is Gabriel Bortoleto. 12th, Ollie Behrman. 13th, Alexander Albon. He actually crossed the line in 11th, but with that 10-second penalty from the crash of Colapinto, pushes him down to 13th. 14th is Ocon. 15th is Alonso. 16th, Nico Hülkenberg. 17th, Lance Stroll. 18th, Pierre Gasly. 19th, Colapinto. Only one DNF on the day is Oscar Piastri. Let's try and just break some of this down a little bit more. Starting at the bottom, awful race for Oscar Piastri. We'll have the driver ratings tomorrow, but I imagine this will be an incredibly low score. Crashing in qualifying, crashing in the race, jumping the starts. You know, it is a buffet of just mistakes from Oscar Piastri. Really quite bad from him. Alpine absolutely nowhere, 18th and 19th for them. Just absolutely no pace. Similar to Aston Martin. You know, Aston Martin looked good at the end of the summer break, and, you know, coming out of the summer break looked half decent as well, but 15th and 17th for them. Nico Hülkenberg continues his streak of having no points since being on this podium at the British Grand Prix. He finishes in 16th place. 14th place for Ocon is actually his second best result of the last 5 races. That shows how it's not necessarily going his way for Esteban Ocon. Albon had a little streak of scoring points. That is now over. He finishes in 13th place. The second 12th place in a row for Ollie Behrman. Bortoleto, as I said, just missing out. Isaac Hadjar in 10th. Might be a little bit disappointed, if I'm perfectly honest with you, because the racing balls in the hand of Liam Lawson looked absolutely fantastic today. But yeah, it looks like Hadjar didn't get the lap in qualifying that he wanted. He was behind Norris, and Norris was really struggling. And then from there in the race, didn't necessarily go his way, but at the end of the day, a point is a point, and I'm sure he will take that. Charles Leclerc, interesting race for him. I think the pit stop kind of screwed him over in terms of timing, because he just got stuck behind Liam Lawson, and as he proved today, he's an incredibly difficult driver to get past, so he kind of just went off from there. A decent recovery from Lewis Hamilton after a bad qualifying sees him finish in 8th. 7th for Norris. I think this is a dropped opportunity, if I'm perfectly honest with you. We're speaking a lot about the Dutch Grand Prix today, but at the end of that race, that was a 25-point swing to Oscar Piastri. I either said in that video there, or in the driver ratings afterwards, that who knows when the next race will happen where Oscar Piastri doesn't finish, we can be talking about a 25-point swing the other way. I think that's what I said in regards to, was the championship over? You know, at any race, Oscar Piastri's engine could blow up, and it's a 25-point swing the other way. Now here, Piastri's engine didn't blow up. He ended up in the wall, but we're not talking about a 25-point swing the other way. We're talking about, what, 7? Is that right? 6. We are talking about a 6-point swing. we have a race weekend where your championship rival bins it twice and you only gained 6 points on him. That's not good enough. This was an opportunity squandered by Lando Norris. In P6 is Yuki Tsunoda. I think that's a great result. I think he'd be very, very happy with that. I think it's his best result in the Red Bull. It's not his best result ever, but still, someone who has struggled a lot this year as well, and I think a very good race from him. P5, best result ever, Liam Lawson. Congratulations to him. A beautiful race weekend. To start third and finish fifth, some people will look at that and go, well, he should have finished third. But realistically, with the pace of the Mercedes cars ahead of him, that wasn't really going to happen. And he still did a tremendous job to keep a lot of fast cars behind him throughout that race. So he should be incredibly pleased with himself, as should Kimi Antonelli. His best result since Canada. I think it's only the third time since Canada he's scored points as well. And it's the first time since Canada he's scored more than 3 points. So, good results for Kimi Antonelli. Hopefully, this is more of things to come from him, We've got to give these young drivers time. They've got to get used to things here. And, that was a great result from Kimi Antonelli, and I hope to see more of that from him. I really like that he took it to Russell at the start. He was not afraid to go, well, there's the team leader, I'm going to leave him alone. Not a chance. I'm down the inside, I'm pushing you out wide, I'm going through. Great stuff, Kimi Antonelli. P4, just missing out on the podium because the third step on the podium belonged to Carlos Sainz. As I said, got driver of the day. The first Williams podium in a proper race since Baku 2017. Wow. It's really good. Really. What have I written here? First something. Oh, his first points since Canada for Carlos Sainz. Another guy who I have been massively critical of this year, and I think rightly for most of it, that he has not been getting the results that many of us expected from him. Turned it around here, sang Smooth Operator on the radio. A beautiful result from him. Really, really good. You can see how much it means to the team as well. Hopefully for him, for Lawson, for Antonelli, this is the start of something new for them where, look, we get it now. We're comfortable. We understand our cars. We know what to do. And going towards the end of this year and into next year, we'll be in a much better place. Who the hell would have thought, by the way, that how many races are we into this season? Race number 17. Who would have said after 17 races, you'd have Carlos Sainz in the Williams on the podium, you'd have Isaac Hadjar and the Racing Bulls on the podium, you'd have Nico Hulkenberg in the Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber on the podium, but Lewis Hamilton cannot do better than 4th in the Ferrari. Absolutely shocking, but there you go. P2 is George Russell. He's been quite unwell most of this weekend, but you can't tell because he's done incredibly well. Said well too many times there, but that's his 7th podium of the year in the Mercedes car. Kind of doing his George Russell thing. People will say he turned up, did nothing, finished on the podium, but I thought he did incredibly well, especially in that free air. Once Antonelli and Lawson had pit out the way, he was able to just push there and did really, really well to build that gap. But let's talk about the man of the hour, the man with the power, Max Verstappen. Not only wins the race, but had pole position, fastest lap, led every lap. It is a grand slam for Max Verstappen, and not just any grand slam, his 6th grand slam of all time, putting him joint second all time with Lewis Hamilton for grand slams. Only Jim Clark ahead of the both of them on 8. That's a record that's been held by Jim Clark since 1965. And I dare any one of you to say that Max Verstappen cannot beat that record before he finishes his career. My goodness, a wonderful, dominant race from Max Verstappen. His 2nd wonderful, dominant race in a row. Where the hell has this come from? The question, the ultimate question of all of this will be, can Max Verstappen become 2025 Formula One World Champion? And my goodness, it's an awfully large mountain to climb, but the mountain is a hell of a lot smaller than it was this morning. I think this morning it was 90-something points between him and Oscar Piastri. This afternoon, it's 69 points. Nice! It's getting closer and closer all the time. 2 dominant performances back-to-back for Verstappen. You know what? He could just do it. It would be the biggest points turnover in the history of Formula 1 to win a world championship. But you know the man who owns that record right now? It's Max Verstappen. So if anyone can beat Max Verstappen, it's Max Verstappen. He certainly could do it. It would be absolutely incredible if he could do it. But if you just string along a good load of performances, he can win. If he wins every race between now and the end of the season, he will be world champion. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races to go. So if he did that, it would be 9 race wins in a row. You know what? He's done that before. Twice. Can he do it for a third time? Oh, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. But the Red Bull is looking good. Max is looking good. This is 2023 level performances we're seeing from Max Verstappen at the minute. It's absolutely beautiful. 2 of the races last year, which were his biggest nightmares, were the Italian Grand Prix and the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He's turned up this year and absolutely dominated them. But, and this is a big but, the ultimate test for him is our next race in Singapore. If Max Verstappen has a bogey track, it is Singapore. The only track on the calendar he has never won at. It's a track where Antonio Giovinazzi has more laps led than Max Verstappen does. But if Max Verstappen can go to Singapore and win that race as well, my goodness, I think it's on. Yesterday I said, let me dream. Today I am in dreamland because I think it could be on. It could be on. Max Verstappen, I'm more confident in Max Verstappen winning this world title than I am Lando Norris winning it right now. It could happen. 69 points can happen. Speaking of Lando Norris, after that race, that 6-point swing puts him just 25 points behind Oscar Piastri. So if Oscar Piastri bins it in Singapore and Lando wins, then I think Lando takes the lead on countback. How many wins is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no, Oscar would still be leading on countback by 1 win, but they'd be on equal points if Oscar Piastri was not to score next time out and Norris was to win. But you know what? All eyes on our reigning world champion. 5 in a row. I'm feeling more and more confident every day. Join us in 2 weeks' time when Verstappen bins it and the confidence is gone. Between now and then, we've got loads of videos to come. Wednesday, Fun Club will be back. We're doing quizzes. Watch them. They're fun. On Friday is that video I told you about before, the top 100 racing drivers of all time from 2007. Then, 2 weeks' time, we are back for all things Singapore Grand Prix, one of the best tracks on the calendar. You could argue the best. Lots of people have this one as their number 1 track. It's absolutely fantastic. We'll be here to cover all of it. I can't wait. What a time to be alive. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day saying this might be the worst world title battle I've ever seen in my history of watching Formula 1. If Max Verstappen continues to do Max Verstappen things, it might turn into one of the most unbelievable championships we've ever seen. And we'll be here to discuss all of it. I will see you then. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.